You are live. So, am I live on YouTube? Is my question. Can you go check me out, and make sure I'm live on YouTube? Because if I'm live on YouTube, then that's great. Oh, I am live. Awesome. Let's do this. This way. I can do. Comments. So if you're live, I'm going to send you how do I send you a link to come join? Share screen. No, invite. There we go. Copy to clipboard. There you go. And now we are going to go into Discord really quick. And I'm going to hit and share. And then click on you, hit share. There you go, my dear. Now we are live. We're doing a live show right now. Unfortunately, I do not have a soundboard with me, so there's going to be no music in the background, so I apologize to any and all listeners. But if you're new to the show right now, welcome to the Exotics Radio podcast. I am Crax, your host, and right now we're about to have Spider Mom with us. It's going to be good times tonight. So far, just one person watching, and that's probably myself, but that's okay. We're all here to chill out, hang out, and enjoy the evening. I hope everybody's got their comfortable pants on, their comfy pants, as I like to call it. It is not Comfy Pants Wednesday, and this is not Friday. We're not having a drink with me Friday yet. We will be doing that again now that I'm learning how to use this. So be more regular on YouTube, where we'll be having Have a Drink with Me Friday and Comfy Pants Wednesday. So, Spider Mom, are you here yet? There you are. Oh, no, you left. Why did you leave? I added you. Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I highly apologize. We're having some technical difficulties going on right now. It's a new project, new programming for me. I'm not used to this, but I am glad I can actually open up. There we go. Add to stream. There's Spider Mom.
All right, there we go.
Hello, Spider Mom. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. And so, Spider Mom, now we were talking earlier. You've got quite a collection for tarantulas. For our audience out there, how many tarantulas do you have?
Actual tarantulas, I have 37 tarantulas and one true spider.
Oh, what do you have? What's the? See, I don't like the technical term of true spider because that's just not true. All the even tarantulas are spiders. But if you're if you're thinking of it in terms of advancement, wouldn't the tarantula be the true spider, considering they came first before all the what you would normally call a true spider, an arachnid without hair.
Yeah. So, I agree, but that's but yeah, I have 38 babies.
Nice. So how long have you been keeping tarantulas?
Well, I got my first tarantula about 20 years ago, and I've slowly evolved up from there. I went about 5 years with just one, and then I got 5, and then about 3 years of having 5. Then I've slowly gone up from there up to where I'm at now.
So what you're saying is you've been keeping tarantulas for quite a long time, and you've got quite a collection there.
Oh yeah.
So I have to ask. Now the curiosity is going to kill me. What do you keep? What do you keep the most of, or are you like some keepers, get one of everything?
Well, at the moment, I have 4 Toledo cattle wagons, and they just happen to be one that I really, really like. I like them all, but I love the wagons, and other than that I don't have any duplicates. Well, yeah, actually I do. I have 3 Nandu chromatises right now, and Yeah, those are my only duplicates. 3 Nandu chromatus and 4 Toledo cattle wagons.
Oh
And
wow,
the rest are all different, yeah.
that's very different. So now I have to ask, with your Nandus, have you noticed they have a different type of personality compared to, say, your Vagans or the others? Because I have Nandus, and I have one that buries everything, and the other one who pretty much likes to wrestle with the straw. She really has to have her straw. So what do you have you noticed a difference in attitudes, or is it just very variable in your experience?
Well, my mature male Nandu chromatus is just very spastic and jumpy with whatever. If you put anything down in there, uh, he's spastic. I haven't had a Nandu yet that was just calm and chill and, like a Grandma Stola or whatever. They just seem high strung a little bit. Mine do anyway, but
Are you trying to say that non-dues are high strung? Is that what you're trying to say?
yes, I do believe so.
No,
Not
never.
Nandus.
Not my bottomless pit eaters that have to eat everything. No, not them. No, no, no. It has to be. How do you say? It has to be. They're the most. They're the calmest, gentlest. They're not curious at all. They don't come out of their enclosures at all. They're like the perfect tarantula. What are you talking about?
So I just have the one in the world that is just spastic. Every other one is just no. That's a Nandu for you. What can you say?
Yes, Nandus are quite hyper, almost hypersensitive if you want to think about it like that. Because I know with my Nandu, just the movement of the shelf will send them going, oh, something moved. What moved? And so they have to check it out. And I've never quite seen a tarantula be more curious than the Nandu. Now, excuse me, I'm going to send a couple of invites to some people I hear. Let them come in on their own accord, of course. Let's see if we've got. See if anybody's entered yet. Nope, nobody's come say hi. It's just us. So far, so good. I'm trying to send out some invites to some people out here.
Yeah, we need to see if this echoing is just me or if I need to.
I believe it's just you. I don't hear it in my. I don't hear it from me in my headphones, so it might just be you. But do you hear it when I speak?
Yeah, I hear you. It's just I hear echoing, but it's probably just me. I
No,
should
it could be
probably
me. It could be me. Is that better?
try again.
How about that? Is that better?
It's about the same. That's probably on my end. Let's see. We'll just have to see if it continues. Then I can switch to my laptop if I need to. But
Okay. For anybody coming into the show, welcome to the show. I'm Crax, your host, and this is Exotics Radio. We are talking about tips and tricks about keeping tarantulas, different types of breeds of tarantulas, as well as going to get into a little bit further into how to protect yourself from threats of pet scammers. Because that's something I've been really been homing in on, especially since this last Christmas, and a lot of people have been out of work, not quite laid off, but because of COVID, they're put on the shelf and made to sit this shit out. Excuse the language. But anyways, long story short, they have to protect themselves from these people, and it's become a quite a pandemic almost. Or
hold on.
Oh, you know what? That was probably it.
That
That's
was it.
probably where their echo is coming from.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
But anyways, I wanted to focus in on how to protect yourself from pet scammers, because tarantulas are one of the few species you can't really um, you can't really fight against, because you can always say, and it's an excuse they have used in the past. Well, that's not the tarantula I sold you, and you're like, hold on a second, yes it is. But how do you prove it at that point? It's a he said she said thing.
Right.
um, so yeah, no, getting your money back is kind of a hard thing to do, because a lot of them will never answer the phone again. Once they have your money in hand, you'll never see them again. And the other thing that I've seen, also the other part of the issue that I've come across, is the most successful scammers have local phone numbers, and it doesn't mean it local in a country, but it could be like the next country over. But generally, it's like in the same general area that you live in, because of the, you know, it, I have to say this, it's just easy. It's easier to play off than it is to be in another foreign country and say, yes, I have this, I need money first. No. Downright, darn right, you're not going to give money to somebody who is in another country you'll never see, never be able to have personal interactions with, versus somebody who, in my case, lived in the next city or over. How would I ever
Right.
track them down? It would be near impossible. And for the money that you would normally pay for a tarantula, it wouldn't even be worth it. So, unfortunately, that's how it generally goes. And it's just those, like I said, those are some of the best scammers. So you've spotted them, or you think you spotted a scammer? How do you deal with it? Well, you either report it to the monitors, the people who are in charge of the website that you see it on, or you can ask some clever questions if you think you're being scammed. First of all, I've noticed with all scammers, they never put the genus in the title. Never. If it's a legit sale, they'll always put the genus in the title. Like, I have an aviculator for sale. Okay. Um, Whereas somebody will say, I have this rare. Another thing I've noticed, if you see a title that has rare in the title, don't click on it.
Yeah.
Because we all know what's rare in the hobby. We're not gonna. So it's not like, ooh, it's super rare. We already know it's rare. You don't have to tell us. We just want to know what
Right.
you have. So
Right.
you'll always see the genus, like Brachypelma homori. Have a Brachypelma homori versus a Mexican redknee. If they say Mexican redknee, they're not a hobbyist for one. So
Mm-hmm.
chances are they don't have the animal that they're talking about. So that's the first step. Look at the title.
Right.
And if it has the word rare in it, I have a rare Brachypelma homori. Then it's either a hobbyist having fun with the whole situation, or it's a scam. Either way,
Right.
be careful. Um, I don't know. Have you run into any scams? Have you had any issues with scamming?
No, I sure haven't. I'm very careful about who I buy tarantulas with and make sure they're reputable sellers. And like you were saying, you've got to watch out. Most people that work with tarantulas all the time, most of them are not going to use common names.
Exactly. They're gonna
So
the very
that
first
should
thing you
be,
see.
yeah, that should be an automatic red flag. It doesn't mean absolutely you can't trust them, but that's a red flag for sure. But no, luckily I haven't ran across. I've done my research and make sure I get them from reputable people online. But yeah, you have to be really careful. That's getting to be um, it's getting to be bad.
Yeah, no kidding. It's actually it's really bad here, because we have several countries surrounding us, and it's just easy to order from one of them. I
Hmm.
don't know what it is with Swedes and ordering online, but that is like the biggest way of getting clothes, getting food, getting anything. It's ordered online, and that was before the nasty thing that hit this world. I'm not going to say
Right.
that. I'm not going to call it what it is because it's just for one, I know we're being listened to. We don't have the following right now, but eventually we might. And so
Yeah.
I know they'll be like, oh, you said the C word. No,
You
I did
said
not say
C
the C
word.
word. I'm not going to say the C word. No C words here.
Yeah.
Um, unless of course we're talking about a serrated gyrus, and then that's a whole different C word.
Right.
that comes with a flurry of a few more curse words. Well, I feel like an old lady when I deal with mine, especially when they were slangs. I was like, "Get your butt back here," and they're like, "Nope, see ya, I'm out." Um, I always felt like the old lady, waving my cane at the young kid that's just like flipping me off as it runs away. It's like, oh, get your butt back here. But no, the biggest thing when you're worried about scamming is the whole title, the whole thing in the title. That is
Mhm.
like the number one way. Um, and then the second thing is the price. Almost
Mhm.
all collectors, hobbyists know what the roughly the price range. Some trying to mimic that and getting into the hobby, just looking up random numbers and then throwing up with it what they think would be worth it because it's supposed to be rare. I'm putting up air quotation marks. And then you have that issue, which is a real problem because you have. I mean, okay. For example, I know. We'll take the let's see, the Brachypelma homoris. We'll take the homoris and or the vagans. We just discussed this not too long ago. We'll take the vagans. Um, and we know what the is it are they still considered Brachypelma now, or did the genus change them to Teltecatl?
Tleatocatl. Yeah.
Teltecatl. Okay. Oh, and then the name that shall never.
Oh, that name. Why?
I read I read a meme that made me laugh so hard. I was laughing. I couldn't stop laughing for like 10 minutes. And it said how the year ended in 2020. It was Cthulhu just destroying the city. And it was two people, standing and watching. Of course, this is out of a comic, but it turned into a meme. And it said, who summoned him? And then somebody said, when you have thousands of people mispronouncing Tiltacatl, you get this.
Yeah. Everybody says it different. I even looked it up how to pronounce this correctly, and I still cannot get it. And I was like, okay, people
You
get
know,
what I mean. I can't get it exactly right, so they're just.
the thing is, it's Tiltacatl. It's how you actually supposed to pronounce it. It's Tiltacatl. The L is mostly silent. It's like Chipotle. The you could barely hear the L. And there's a gentleman, uh, Tarantula Haven, I believe, is the YouTuber.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's his name. He pronounces it on the spot, but that's because of his Latin heritage and he knows how to say a Latin term.
right.
It's not a scientific Latin. This is actually straight out from his own dialect, and it's apparently a dying dialect.
Yeah,
So he had to give them props for bringing light to a dialect that's actually dying, as well as a tarantula. It's a win-win. And then
absolutely.
I held a contest to name a tarantula of mine, and it was 100 and to win $100. The first person to get it right would win the $100. The second person to get it right would win the chance to name the tarantula. And it was so funny because at the time, the one person that actually got it on the first try was a gentleman. Now I want to give him a shout out there. His name is Area 81. Area 81's podcast. He's an excellent podcaster. I get along with him quite well. Very friendly gentleman, very good with the music, an excellent music writer as well. So he's got all his I's dotted and all his T's crossed. Excellent. So if anybody out there is listening to this later on, go check out Area 81's podcast off of either Podbean or SoundCloud. Excellent. Again, excellent podcaster. A very friendly
Yep,
gentleman. I loved hanging out with him when I was on Podbean for a short time. But unfortunately, due to circumstances, I got rid of Podbean. And so we still keep in touch on Instagram. So go check out his Instagram, Area 81. And it's area with the 81 next to it. Like Area 51, but it's 81. So I think
Right.
that's the year he was born in, actually. But anyways, he got it on the first try, very first try, and I was shaking my head because I figured he, of all the people, would get it. And the reason why is because he's Latin American. And he just, I was laughing so hard. Oh, I was dying because he got it on the first try. Everybody was calling in, messing it up. And I'm just like, oh gosh, ladies and gentlemen, you had 1 week to do your homework. And I couldn't, I felt bad for them because everybody was stumbling over it. And he calls up, he's just like, da 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 da. And I go, yep. He goes, I got it right? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, you did say it, the tarantula is from Mexico. I was like, yep. So he was like, yep. All right. So he got it on the first try. But again, it's how you pronounce it. And I even pronounce it wrong with the teltecato. I put too much emphasis on the O at the end. But if you pronounce it correctly, it's teltecato. No L. Hold back the L, hold back your tongue, and you will actually pronounce it pretty well, pretty good. But anyways, we got so sidetracked. I was trying to talk about the prices on the scam. Scam areas will always have the prices completely wrong, mainly because most of them are not in the hobby. Most of them have not done the research or homework to know what the prices are. Occasionally, they'll get lucky and guess it right, but for the most part, we know that the Vagans. You were saying the Vagans are cheap, but the Vagans here aren't as cheap. Oh, we lost her. We lost her briefly. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We have some audio issues going on. She has disconnected. Let's hope she'll be back. And if she comes back, we'll give her a big round of applause and welcome her back. Like the warm people that we are, the warm community that we are. Anyways, as I was saying, while she gets back, oh, there she is. Welcome back.
Thank you. I apologize for that.
I don't apologize. No need to apologize for that.
All right.
So as I was saying, the price range, we were talking about the price of Vagans. Yeah, they're like 200 kroner here, and there they're like how much was it over there?
You can get them anywhere from 25 to 40 bucks each. Yeah, it's about average.
Okay, so even if you come to Sweden, they're a little cheaper, but you see we know the price range. So when you see a rare Vagans for $100, it's like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
And then when they say it's a male, then you know it's definitely a scam. You're like, hold on a second. There is no male going to be worth that much.
Absolutely.
There are some people that are legit and they just don't know what they've got. There was I not long ago I dealt with a gentleman who had a female Brachypelma homori, and he was selling her as an adult, and she was only 4 years old, so she hadn't even hit the 5-year mark. And I was thinking she was power fed. No. He had purchased her from a father and son duo, and the son just lost interest, and so the father needed to get rid of it. And so he was like, I have this adult female. He wanted to sell her for 600 kroner. And I was like, okay, it's a little expensive for an adult. And I was looking at the pictures, and I was like, she's a little on the small side. How big is she? He's like 9 centimeters. And I'm like, hold on a second. That's definitely not adult.
Right.
How old is she? She's like 3 or 4 years old. I was like, oh, my dear. Oh, dear. Oh, like, that's not an adult. That's what you've got is a sub-adult. So you might want to talk that back, and you might want to drop the price because you're not going to find anybody who's going to purchase. He goes, oh, no. He goes, but she's like their size. And I was like, no. Between 16, 17 centimeters is how big they normally get. So she's got a few centimeters to go. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So he went and changed the price a little bit, and then changed the title. He goes, and then he got his phone calls. He's like, for a long time, I didn't know why I was not getting any phone calls. I was like, that's why. That is why. So you do run into people who do not know what they have. That
Right.
that is a given. There's so many tarantulas. There's over 900 tarantulas known to mankind as of today. There's like 912 or something like that. 916. Don't quote me on that one. I know it's over 900. And maybe it's 922. You know, you would think I would have notes and all that brought up when I do a live show like this. Nope. Totally failed here. I completely bombed this one. I apologize. For everybody listening out there, I apologize for that. I normally don't make blunders like that, but you know, we're all human, and occasionally I do things like this. But I think what I'll do is I'll start doing live shows and recording them and putting them here on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it'll be Comfy Pants Wednesday, Have a Drink with Me Friday, which, break out the drinks. It will be geared more for an adult show. I will leave it for not kids, but there won't be any real cursing or anything, but it will be drinking. So we'll be having drinks and having a good time on Friday. And then, I'll start doing the recordings again and start putting up the recordings on Saturday. Was it Thursday or Saturday? I think that might be a good. So next week, let's make this an official announcement. Next week we'll start up doing shows Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then doing the recordings, putting the recordings up on Thursdays and Saturdays.
There you
go. Get Exotics Radio back up again. I haven't done recordings in so long. Oh my goodness. But anyways, we were saying, I got totally sidetracked. I keep getting sidetracked. I'm so horrible. This is what happens when I don't have notes in front of me. I don't have my script in front of me. I totally go off in left field, and I'm like staying in left field, and I'm like, oh, I'll take a right in left field. Does not bring me back home, I promise. The original thought might even get lost in the process. It happens.
Yes, it does. So, oh, yeah.
So, as I was saying, the whole scamming part, the prices will be different. The titles, almost the genus, will always be in the title, because we as hobbyists know what we're buying, what we have, what we're selling. We generally know the sex of the animal, unless it's either a sling or a juvenile, or maybe even some subadults, because they like to destroy their molt. Like I said, I had my Ceratogyrus meridionalus. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologize. Slapper. I like to call her Slapper. She slaps at everything. She's a well-earned name.
Sounds
But for a long time, I thought she was a he, because she would always destroy her molt. She was always out of her hide. She was always doing something. And it was like, oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me? And she was just like, smack, you wanted to open my enclosure. Smack, that's food. Smack, you're trying to give me water. It's like, gosh, please stop. Please stop. She's, and the thing is, I would almost say she's defensive, but after a slap or two, she seems to calm down.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. Weird tarantula stories. I'm making a whole live cast on how weird tarantulas can get.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's some characters, I tell you what.
Oh, absolutely. So scammers. I'm not too sure what happens in the US, but have you seen scams yourself? Have you known? I'm not talking about the ones that come from some unknown country with some unknown named business saying that they've got a tarantula for basically dirt on the dollar, dirt on the kroner. I'm talking about actual. Have you seen actual scams near you?
Not near me, actually. It's not where I'm at. The tarantula hobby isn't really big, but like I said, I've heard of it, but I don't know anybody personally that it's happened to. but I've heard about it in groups and stuff like that. But no, I can't say that I personally know anybody that's been scammed or know of any scamming going on around here. But I know it's going on a lot. But there are definitely red flags you should look out for. And see, the thing is, they're not geared towards the hobbyists. They're geared towards the people that are new in the hobby and they don't know any better. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that was the second most successful scams are those that are targeting the mom and dad with the kid that's getting into the hobby, or the lady or gentleman getting into the hobby. You know, they don't know what they're getting, so they put a question off, and into the another the I call it the Netherland of the internet. They just put a question out there, and then they get some good answers, some bad answers, some opinion answers that are neither good nor bad, and then they get the scammers. It's like, interesting story that happened to a friend of mine. They bought cockroaches, and they were trying to buy the whole colony. So they found the whole colony up for sale, and the pictures looked okay. They looked somewhat kosher. The terminology was correct. And I don't know why, for the love of me, why my friend decided to send money before they actually got to see. Hello, John Russell. Welcome to the. Oh, John Russell says, "Hi, Cracks, my spider sister." Oh, I know who that is. Hey, John, how's it going? Welcome to the Talking Corner, or not Talking Corner. I used to be the Talking Corner. Welcome to the Exotics Radio podcast. I'm Cracks, your host, and with Spider Mom, we're talking about tarantulas, some scammers. We've got a couple of people watching now, thank goodness. Growing up in a little bit of audience here. And there's, I would say, John, I believe that is Crazy Kane, which is a close friend of mine and a podcaster himself. And I have, Crazy, I have a couple of tips for you after the show. I will get to that a little bit. I have found a way to get my podcast up and running through YouTube, through another platform. So yes, we are going live now Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, just like we used to. I'm not sure about the audio quality, but we'll figure that out later. But anyways, we were saying that the scams are not geared towards that. We were talking about I was telling you an interesting story. I don't know why my friend decided to share their experience with me and their money, but they did. They were telling me everything play by play. So what had happened was they sent the money, and they were expecting crates to come in the mail, but he never got a number order. And so he finally got back with the person and said, "Hey, where's the ordered number in the mail? Because I want to make sure I'm home." And John says, "Yep, it's me, Crazy Kane 13." All right, cool. I did get it right. So John, later, Crazy. Oh, I'll just call you Crazy because that's what I know you as. I will get to you at the end of the show. I will tell you all about StreamYard, so you can actually start podcasting for free on your YouTube. So there you go. It's like awesome. Yes. Where there's a will, there is a way. Figured it out. So, anyways, as I was saying, the play-by-play is pretty much what I got, and the number never came. And we have laws here in Sweden. If you go to buy something from someone or business, we have laws that says if the sale wasn't satisfactory, you must give the money back. And so he threatened to go to that department with this person. And finally they got a number, and then they got this small box of cockroaches. And it was poorly packed, of course. And but luckily none of them had escaped. There was no escapees. It was just poorly packed. And unfortunately, they come in there and they had, I don't know what was going on, but he said that they were full of mites. They were just not something that he could actually use as feeders. And so it was just really bad. And for a long time, I was just going, okay, I feel bad for you, but you're the one that gave the money before you got to see the goods.
Right.
But then eventually, I would say almost about a month later, he got another crate, an actual crate of cockroaches, and oh, I can't say how much of a headache it was, but he did not get the amount of cockroaches that he actually was promised and he paid for. And it was just like I said, it was just a pain in the butt for him. And like I said, it's those common scams that are more successful than anybody because there's really no repercussion for them. Even if you catch them, it's like, what do? You go to the authorities, you report them. What are the authorities are going to do? They can't do anything. Their hands are tied. It's all up to you to take them to court. So it's like, do you cut your losses, or do you what do you do? Not much really you can do, and that's the sad part. It's a very sad part. And now if you apply that kind of tactic to, I'm just going to use the name Jimmy for just all six purposes. Little Jimmy wants a tarantula. Mom and dad want to give him a tarantula for whatever. They're going to get hit really hard because they don't know what they're buying. They may even get the tarantula. They could be mislabeled. It could be misaged. I actually, my own ignorance got me into a small scam. And of course, it was another company that actually covered it because they felt really bad about that one. I had bought a Idiothelia mira, and I thought it was a sling. I paid for it, not a sling, but a because they're a dwarf. I paid for it as a juvenile. I didn't realize how small they actually were. And so I didn't realize he had already hooked out. So he was already a male. And they had already sold it. They sold it to me a little more expensive because I thought it was a juvenile. Unsexed.
Oh, goodness.
So I explained to another company, this is what had happened. I'm kind of wondering, because this was my first time dealing with an Idiothelia mira. I knew all of the, for a male, I know what it's like for a male when they're out and about and they're looking for a female. I know all those signs, and he had all of those signs, but I'm thinking he's way too young, and I'm like, is he actually hooked out? And if you look at the pouty pups, they look like small little boxing gloves. When I first got him and he tried to escape, in that video you can definitely tell he's a straight up male and he had already hooked out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was mad at my own self for that kind of ignorance, because I've dealt with tarantulas before. I have a degree in entomology. When it comes to common sense, it went right over my head. And so the other company was like, yeah, they didn't send me another Idiothelia mira because they didn't have one. But they knew exactly where I got it from. They knew the couple that had sold it to me. They knew what was going on in the whole deal because they've had problems with them before. And so what they did was I got to send another tarantula. Doesn't make up for it doesn't make up for my zombie, because that was the name. It was at first it was Digger because I thought it was maybe hadn't matured enough, but then it turned to zombie after a bit because he just walked around like a friggin' zombie after that because he was a male looking for a female. It was just like, okay,
right.
My poor baby. But yeah, anyways, long story short, I got sent another tarantula as a replacement because my Idiothelia mira was sold to me as a juvenile when it was not. It was a complete adult male. So I only got a year out of him. And I know it sounds bad, but when I buy a tarantula, I want at least a few years to bond with my babies.
Oh, yeah.
And that it was such a mess. And so that experience mixed with my friend's experience of getting the cockroaches, and then my niece actually nearly got scammed because she was looking for something she could keep in the house at room temperature because she sees me collecting my tarantulas, and she's like, I want to do the same thing, kind of similar. She doesn't want the tarantulas because her dad is complete arachnophobic, but she wanted something.
Right.
And I said, okay, so here are some good creatures you can have, easy to care for, especially for first timers. And she goes, a mantis. I go, no. Mantis are not good for beginners. When you're getting into just keeping invertebrates in general. Now there are mantis for people who are getting into mantis care, but there are mantis for a first timer. Absolutely not. I do not recommend them because there's so much into taking care of. They're not exactly the easiest animals to take care of. So I don't recommend a mantis for a first timer. I do recommend them for somebody with a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
But that's my personal point of view.
Right.
So mom and dad said that she couldn't have ants, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend ants either because you have to maintain them for one. You have to make sure they don't get out. 3, if they do get out, they're going to become a pest, and you're not going to get rid of them. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I thought I turned off my phone. But so we had that going on, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? So she goes, well, there's no real cool ones out there. And I'm like, oh, honey, you do not know.
Oh, man.
So I recommended rhinoceros beetles, the super large ones. Gosh, I can't. The Goliath Hercules, the Hercules beetle. She couldn't find any for sale, so she skipped that. But she found sticks for sale.
Okay.
Walking sticks. So I was like, oh, those are like the cows of nature. So your mom will have no issues with that.
Right.
They're like in the insect world, they're like the boo-boos. They only eat leaves and stems. And so she looked up the means. She did a lot of research trying to figure out how she's going to be able to take care of them. And she thought they were really cool because some of them get really big.
Yeah.
Well, the largest insect in the world is a stick bug, a sticky insect. So she wanted one. Not one of them because it got too big, but she wanted a stick, something that's gonna live for a few years but not live forever, not like a tarantula.
Right.
And so she was online and she had put down now on a forum that I'm quite used to because I told her exactly where to go and try and get what do you call it and to basically look up Mom Kane says hi sis. Oh, tell her I said hello and that she should come and join us on YouTube. She can listen to this too. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, she went to the forum that I'm used to, and sure enough, she gets hit up with a lot of offers for stick bugs, and I'm like, oh no. Anybody that has a stick bug for offer for sale right now at this time of year, they're not going. If they come to you at this time of year, they're a complete scam. And she goes, well, why? It's like it's the wrong time of year.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you're going to look for anybody, they're going to have it posted and they'll tell you either you have to pay for the heating pack or you have to go to their place to get it. And her mom's like, absolutely not. She's not leaving this house to go pick up an insect at some stranger's house. I was like, she'll be with me. She goes, no, not this time of year either. Because, that C word the C word that shall not be named was the reason why we decided that we'll get one from pet store if they have them. And so her and I went from pet store to pet store to pet store to look for one that was well taken care of. And so she bought a small colony. Yeah, she was pretty happy about that. She was very happy with it. She doesn't like spiders. Oh, well, we're not talking about just about spiders. We're also talking about how to protect themselves from pet scams.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the exotics side of this world, or the exotic side of pet keeping, that I don't know why I keep tripping over my words. Probably because I haven't done a podcast in so long. So anyways, I don't know. Like I said, it was just pretty obvious. And it was just really quick and easy to figure out that what they were selling was an absolute scam because, for one, the one was in a complete different country.
Oh,
they didn't speak Swedish at all. It's a Swedish foreign born, and they didn't speak Swedish. Yeah, stay away from that one.
Yeah.
And the English looked like it came from a Google Translate. It was like, yeah, that's just bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a huge red flag. If the English is broken to the point, and it doesn't have to be English, it could be even Swedish. If Swedish is broken to the point where you know it's, or in your case, it would be also English. But if it's broken into a point where you know Google had some sort of help with that one, you're like, nope,
Mm-hmm.
move along. But the others, like the other one, yeah, though it was just bad. Like I said, so speaking of scams, so you know we've covered how to spot one. So what do you do when you see one? Well, in my case, you would report it to the site what you see it on.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been scammed, go to the local authorities. They can tell you from there where to go and what to do. And that's pretty much all you can really do if you're, yeah, if you're actually hit with, a scam. That's all you can do. There's nothing much you can do, and that's the very sad part, and why I really hate scams. I really, really hate, especially when it comes to my favorite hobby.
Yeah.
It's like no. Uh, so Crazy Kane says she had enough day today, so she's going to bed now. Well, tell her I said good night, and hope to see her on the next show, which will be next week. We are going to go live on Monday again. So Crazy, if you can let everybody know where I'm at now, and then I can go live regularly. I'm going live on YouTube Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, Spider Mom, if you don't know the context of what's going on, John there, or Crazy Kane, used to be an old follower of mine and long time, known him for a long time. He's also, if you want a good recipe for gumbo, go talk to him. He has the best recipes for gumbo. He's from Louisiana, but
Oh man, yeah. Oh.
he's Cajun at this point.
Oh yeah.
So go talk to him. Oh, you've been scammed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. So everybody that's listening to the podcast right now, if you are listening, please go and check out our chat. Go leave a like. Go leave hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. But also, what you can do is hit us up on the chat. Ask any questions. I'm pretty sure Spider Mom will be more than happy to help you, or myself, of course. I'm just floundering in this world with little knowledge that I have compared to her. That's just saying. So go check her out. Also, we were talking about tips and tricks on how to take care of. Not only we were going to cover the scams, which we already did, but we're going to talk about the tips and tricks on how to take care of some of the most sensitive species and tarantulas there is. You had issues with your Strimmy. Now the same issue she had, let me tell the audience, the same issue you had also covers blondies and any other Theraphosa species because they are very sensitive to water. Now go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you want me to tell you about the problem I was having with my sturmy?
Yes.
Okay. So what was going on is I've had Ursula. Ursula is a male, but I've had Ursula for a few years now, and never had any trouble. Hello, John. How you doing? Um, Never had any trouble, and I guess about a couple of weeks ago, I just noticed more movement than normal, and about a week ago, I was like, wait a minute, this is okay. This is getting a bit much. He's starting to walk around constantly, and I know he hasn't hooked out. I know he's not matured out, so he's not looking for a female, and his abdomen is bald from kicking so many hairs, and so I was like, I was trying to figure out what was going on, and all of a sudden, he was constantly walking and pacing around his enclosure. Well, I've been told a couple of different things by different people, and and then I asked my friend here. I said, I told her what's going on. Uh, and hold on. I told her, I told you what was going on, and
Mhm.
what you asked was, okay, what side of the enclosure, what on which side of the enclosure is her house or his had, and it turns out it's something so obvious, but had I not asked you, uh, my poor Ursula would be stressed to the core right now. Turns out I had Ursula's home on the moist side of the enclosure. So all the time he's sitting in there in his hide, and it's not, he wants some, he doesn't want that much moisture in his home. So the whole time I was basically, he was basically trying to let me know that something was wrong with his home. And yeah, I don't, I still to this day feel bad about it, but it didn't even dawn on me. Keep the side dry that their house is on, and like you said, let them bring the moisture that they want to it. That yeah, like I said, this is my first peace sturming, so and I've had them for a while, so I knew something was wrong. But yeah, had I not asked you about that pacing and kicking, then I wouldn't even known to this day something so right there in front of my face, but I just didn't even think about it.
Yeah, no, with they're extremely water sensitive. Too much water will make them stressed. Too little water will dry them out, and then they can't survive. they're they're just strivies are just something you have to be really on top of when it comes to something like that. Uh, but I want to
Yeah,
back up a little bit. First, we checked
yeah.
for mold. There was no mold. Then we checked for mites. There was no mites. And so we were checking for irritants, and then I noticed it's like your home is literally over the moist side, and it's like he has no choice. You have to give him a choice.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
they tell you when you have a Theraphosa blondie or a Theraphosa strumi, what you do is you overfill the water dish, which is generally not next to their house, and let that water seep down through the layers. And what they'll do is they'll either dig to the moisture and then make their own how they want it, or they'll stay on top of the dry stuff. And so again, they'll also bring in they'll start hauling stuff in. So what you could do to help them stay more moist, even though you're not moistening his house, what you could do is take stagnant moss or some type of moss. I use the stagnant or the uh, uh, reinforced moss
Mhm.
in the brick. Um, and I'll sprinkle the dry stuff around that, and then as it moistens up the ground, it will absorb a lot of the moisture, and he'll haul it in. It'll be easy for him to haul into his own home, and he'll, like I said, he'll take care of himself. They're quite like that. But when you have an animal and a tarantula who is stressed, hold on one second. Our audience says, I wanted to let you know that but I'm going. Oh, they're still here, but they're going to go cooking and listening to y'all. Okay, so he's going to listen to us while he's cooking. Well, thank
Okay.
you. It's actually that's a huge compliment when somebody's like, "I'm going to go cook, but I'm going to continue to listen to you." It's like, yes,
Great.
I'm part of a daily life. I am loved. I am loved. My tarantulas just want me to feed them and throw food at them. I'm actually so loved. Big old crocodile tears. My cats love me only when I'm laying on the couch or I'm feeding them. That's the only two times they love me.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention that you had told me that, I mean, as long as I've been keeping spiders, you think this stuff. Also, my water dish wasn't big enough, and it was too high up.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. Yes.
Yeah, tarantulas don't in the wild. They'll go to a puddle. Puddle is either ground level or below ground level, so you
Mhm.
have to keep that in mind. That's where they get their water.
Yeah.
So they're not naturally climbing up to get water. They're
Right.
actually crawling down to get water. That's why if you notice in a zoo, you'll see this beautiful communal of either some sort of Pochiotheria, like a Metallica, or you'll see this beautiful communal of the Belfori. Now, for of you who don't know what a Belfori is, Belfori actually comes only from one island. Here's a fun fact for you: they are they used to be very rare because they only came from one place out of Yemen, and it was an island off of Yemen. So, believe it or not, they're kind of the Middle Eastern tarantula. A very beautiful tarantula, by the way.
Yeah.
Eggs and gator bits for his dinner. He's definitely Cajun. We got somebody from Louisiana here, and he definitely having a dinner that I've never even dreamed of having.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Alligator sounds good to you?
I've had gator before, yeah. I've had gator meat. Yep.
All right, if somebody could give me some alligator meat, I will go on live. I will cook it on live. I will eat it on live. So somebody's gonna send me some alligator sometime soon. But anyways, but the fun fact is that Belfories are the Middle Eastern tarantula. They're a tarantula from the Middle East. They come off of an island from off of Yemen. But that's neither here nor there. But when you go to a zoo, you'll see this beautiful communal setup, and you notice where the waters are. The waters are halfway down or 3/4 of the way down. That's because tarantulas are in the wild go down to get their water, not go up. So all water dishes generally have to be either semi ground level or ground level. And that's so that the tarantula can get to the water. Because you're going to remember their eyes are located on the top of the head, so they don't see forward, they see upward.
Mm-hmm.
And so they feel around with their feet. So that's like you never being able to look down, and you've got to find the water. You wouldn't look up to look for the water. You would feel around almost at ground level or chest level where you would find the water. And that's because, remember, your arms can't lift too high. Tarantulas can lift over their head, but they're not looking things over their head. They're actually looking for things down at the feet.
Right.
So that is one thing you have to keep in mind when it comes to keeping water. And that's with any insect or arachnid, water dishes on the bottom and either ground level or just a little bit above ground level. You will never see a really good setup unless if you look at Exotic Slayer, or even the Dark Den. Dark Den actually has a really good setup. If you notice his water dishes are always at either a slope. So a slope always leads up to the water dish, and it's nearly ground level when it's on the slope part, or it's at ground level or below the tarantulas. And that's because, again, the tarantula doesn't look upward, it looks downward.
Yeah.
So that's why. And if you already said that he's already been in his water dish and drinking water, so he's staying hydrated then.
Yeah.
So it's just just keeping the humidity up at that point. So what you do is you water the one side of the enclosure, not his own. Don't flood him out. Nobody wants to sleep on water unless they're a frog or a turtle.
Right. It all makes perfect sense. It really does. It just went right over my head. I wasn't even thinking about the obvious, and yeah, that makes perfect sense with the water dishes as well. But yeah.
And the next thing you want to also be aware of or be careful of, we didn't just go looking to see if that was the actual issue. We hit all of the hallmarks first. We looked for mites. We looked for mold. Mold is the first thing I always look for, especially when a tarantula is stressed. Mold will always be it because mold burns the carapace. They say tarantulas can't really feel pain. Other scientific community says they can. I don't know if that's true or not, but you can tell they are still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go and see where the mold is. If you don't see mold, then look for mites. Mites are another major thing that will cause stress in an animal. They'll not eat. They'll constantly move about. They'll constantly shift. They don't want to be where they're at because they're irritated. They itch. They got things crawling on them. Remember, tarantulas' bodies are made to feel vibrations in the air, and their feet are made to taste the air pretty much. It tastes the small particles. So they know where the food is. So you have to understand that if things are crawling on them all of the time while they're trying to hunt, it makes it almost impossible for them to know if that's food or not. So they won't eat, which makes them irritable. Makes anybody irritable. Trust me, if you can't eat, it makes anybody irritable.
Yeah.
So you always look for mites. So those are the two main goes that I go to. And then I just happened to see that the substrate was moist, and it was like, wait, I always give your tarantulas a chance to make their own choice on how. I know as slings, juveniles, and as even some sub-adults, it's easy to keep them very moist because that's what they have to in order to survive and to be able to molt well. But when they get up to more of an adult size, then you have to dial that back a bit and realize, okay, they need a wider home, more space. Because I even asked you, how big is the enclosure? Because they do get stressed if they're in too small of enclosure.
Yeah.
That happens. That's an unfortunate thing that happens, but it does happen. So you have to make sure that your tarantulas are well taken care of in that regard. And always, if you see if your animal's going bald, and it's rubbing itself, it's not eating, it's constantly walking, it's stressed. Something has made it stressed. If a male hooks himself out, which means if he matures, he makes the ultimate molt. He is not going to sit still. He's stressed. He wants to find a female.
Right.
So that is the biggest body language sign that you can pick out of a tarantula is know that they're stressed, especially if they're bald and their carapace or the not carapace, but the exoskeleton underneath is still very pale. That means they're kicking hairs when they're not meant to kick hairs. They're going bald and they're not meant to go bald. It's a perfectly good example is when you have my Lasadora perihybana when I went and picked her up. No, that's a very tragic story I've shared with you. I'm not going to share here because I've told that story way too many times. But I can say when I first got her, she was going bald. Due to the environment she was in, she was very stressed. Now that she's got a place where she can comfortably hide, a house that's semi-dry, she carries all of her moist substrate back there. And then I'm watering more substrate in the front because she's carrying all the other stuff back there. But she's got a huge room on her cork bark. So she can hang out on a very dry spot, go down and be in the moist spot, go into her water dish. I've actually had a full water dish. I've seen her nearly swimming. And she's come out and she's okay. Like, what are you gonna do? This is mine. What? It's my swimming pool. And it's like dirt everywhere. And I'm like, you realize I have to clean that out, right? And then she gets so mad when I take out her water dish. Oh, she gets so mad. I have not been nearly haired in the face so many times until I got a Lasadera perihybana. And I have to clean her water dish every time, once a week, because she fills it full of substrate because she wants to hang out in there. I'm like, really? But then there's times where she doesn't want to be there. She wants to be on top of her cork bark and just be there. So there she has a very dry spot where she can hang out, a semi-moist spot where she wants to hang out, and a very moist spot where she wants to hang out. She has her choices. And she has not got bald. She has not kicked hairs. Like I said, the only times I've been haired is when I try to go in there to grab the water dish, but it's not very often. She's not going bald because of that. She's kicking hairs, but not, how do I say it? A tarantula can kick hairs without going completely bald. Occasionally, if they're kicking hairs all the time, they're going to go bald and stop stressing them out. But like I said, I clean out her water dish once a week, and she's gotten to the point where she doesn't even kick hairs anymore. She just starts rearing up, and it's like, really? I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this anyways. Well, talk about sassy. Her name Pinky does not suit her. When you hear the name Pinky, you think of a small, cute tarantula that's got a very well mannered that does gentle takedowns. No, she is anything but that. She's a tarantula that I will eat you if you come into this enclosure, and it's like, yeah, I'm coming in anyways. But that's a Lasadora perihybana for it. That is generally across the board what they are and what they do. But again, it goes back to she has a dry spot a moist spot, a place where she can make moist if she wants to, and then a very moist spot, which is her water dish. And it's not often I'll see her in a water dish. It's usually what it is she'll throw a bunch of substrate and it'll float about halfway up, and then she's laying on top of that half. And I'm like, are you literally drinking that like that? You realize you can drink the water without the substrate. I really don't know if she just likes the taste of substrate with her like would you like a little water with the taste of your substrate? It's like I don't get you. I don't get you at all. But yeah, she's not stressed. That's my whole point. She's very relaxed. She's not moving about. She's not going up and down the walls. She's not throwing a tantrum. Of course, now, mind you, I do have what I call a privacy curtain over her enclosure. But that's because she's near my art studio. She's in my art studio, but she's near my art desk is what I meant to say. And so I have an art lamp that comes down, and because I need to see, and that generally shines towards her enclosure. So I cover that up. They don't need the light. They're one of the few creatures in the world that actually don't need sunlight to survive. So she has her privacy curtain, and she does really well with that. And then she's right next to Shy Bear, which Shy Bear is an A musculosa, Ascascaria musculosa. Musculosa, it could be musculosa. I really don't know how to pronounce her name. So I apologize if I mispronounce something. For all the listeners out there, welcome to the Exotics podcast, Exotics radio podcast. Let me rephrase that. I am Crash, your host. We have Spider Mom, and this host can't speak today. Just gonna flirt that out. But also what we're talking about is tarantula care and whatnot, and tarantula tips and tricks on how to take care of them. And now what I found with my my Ascascaria musculosa, again, I apologize for the mispronunciation. She does really well with a privacy curtain. She has plants that she has torn down, fake plants. I don't put in real plants because the tarantulas will eat them and destroy them, and it's just a waste of money at that point. Mm-hmm. She has torn them down. She has taken her cork bark. She has buried underneath her cork bark, but made a tunnel to the back of the foamy part, because when I first got her, I was an idiot. I did not think that they would chew the back of the enclosure. Oh, she did. For the first half of me owning her, that's where she lived. She lived between the glass and the foam part. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh God, when are you going to get out? Because you can't get them out at that point. You cannot. If you move the foam, you can potentially crush them or severely injure them. And then after she moved out of that, she moved into the front of her enclosure. So it wasn't like I can just go and take the foam part at this point, because I could potentially put too much pressure on the substrate, and then I could hurt her that way, because she was living right underneath her water dish. And I'm like, really?
Yes, I've had one do that before.
I'm like, seriously? So I moved the water dish, and you know what that little twerp did? What? She pulled her water dish all the way from the other side back to that.
That's funny.
I'm like, really? Really? This is not amusing. So I had to put a few rocks in her, a few rocks in the dish, and then fill it up and put it on the other side again, because I really did not want her tunneling it out and then falling because it didn't have the support.
Right.
Because I have she has a metal water dish, and yeah, she's just such a weirdo. I love her to death. Don't get me wrong. She's my Shy Bear, but oh my gosh, she's a pain in my butt sometimes. But long story short is a real quick tip is, if you have a skittish, a very shy tarantula, just give them a privacy curtain, and then peek in there every so often. Because once you peek in there so often and you start seeing them out more often, you can actually start removing the curtain, or in my case, it's a shirt, an old t-shirt. You can remove it and then take a couple of quick pictures and then put it back. Then you see your tarantula out more often. It's amazing to me, because everybody's like, I have this beautiful enclosure, but I never see my tarantula. Well, that's the whole point of having the tarantula, so you can see them. I don't care if I get to see the inside of my enclosure. I see it once a week, every week. Mm-hmm. I know what it looks like. Now, if I, see something that I don't quite like or something that maybe, doesn't sit with me well, and then I'll fix the situation. But again, I know what the enclosure looks like, and I'm not going to sit there and show everybody what my enclosures look like that I can actually put together in an enclosure that makes it look pretty. No, no. I want to see my tarantula. So if you give them a privacy curtain, they'll actually come out more often, especially if they're a shy species. Don't know what to say about my Serratus gyrus merilodonalus. She's a weirdo. She likes being out almost constantly, and I feed her enough, so you would think she would hide. Nope, she's very comfortable with being out. You know how she went into her hide the other day? Finally.
Yeah.
Now she's out again. I'm like, really? Really? Okay, here's your water dish. I totally ignored that. Okay. I don't know what you want. She just wants to chill. She wasn't stressed. She was relaxed. She wasn't pumping fluids into her legs to keep herself raised up. No, she was just totally relaxed, just like, just
Yeah.
enjoying the moment. Like, all right. Well, if you enjoy the moment, that's great. If you don't enjoy the moment, that's on you, I guess. I don't know. So yes, that's my tip. If you want to see your tarantula more often, give them a privacy curtain and peek in there so often. You'll see them more often.
Yeah, you really have to pay attention to your tarantulas. You can't, yeah, they're not hard to take care of, but you have to know your tarantula, and you have to know when something is different in their behavior, because you get to know their quirks and the way they act and their personalities. And yes, they do have personalities, if you ask me. But
Yes.
you have to watch them. You have to know what's normal for them and what isn't, because had I not had I been one of these people who don't pay attention and just go and feed them and water them once a week, and I wouldn't have known. This could have gone on and on and on, and poor baby being stressed all the time. You have to pay attention to your tarantulas and know what's normal and what isn't. Absolutely.
No, because again, if you don't do that, you're well, they're an animal that you actually have to take care of. They're not like an animal that you can just put aside and just walk away and not care for.
Right.
Even though they are tarantulas and they really don't require much care, they really don't. But it
Right.
could be a really good practice. Let me break down my routine on a day that I'm going to feed. Well, in any day that I'm not even feeding. No matter what date it is, I walk in. I always check their enclosures. I check all their enclosures, make sure everybody's okay. If everybody's inside, nobody's missing. Not well, they could be in their enclosures or in their hides. I'll give them that. But for the most part, then I will wait until the end of the day, and when it gets dark, then I'll start feeding them. This is a generally time when they're active naturally, so I get to see them more often, and I get better. I've noticed I get better feeding responses as well. It's not just like some random feeding, unless like you keep them in a dark room. Then maybe you've thrown off their clock, so maybe you can feed them at any point in time. Because I've noticed a couple of YouTubers who own tarantulas have them in a more of a dim lit room, so they can feed them at any time of the day. But for a normal person like you and I, feeding them in the evening, more towards the evening, I tend to get more reactions. And on top of that, because, well, they're nocturnal, so they're instinctually going to eat anyways.
Yeah.
That's why most of the time you'll see a molt generally happen at night, and that's because they're nocturnal. They're biologically nocturnal, just like a cat. So you just so again, I'll check and make sure everybody's okay. Like my strummy that's molting right now. He's upside down. I did not realize he was upside down because earlier this morning he was right side up.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm going to gently put you back. I am so sorry. I do not want to disturb you or move you.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
So anyways, that's the kind of tips and tricks I have for now. Also keep a journal. I keep a journal on everything that I own, because once you get up into the tens, 20s, 30s tarantula. You cannot keep track of what everybody is. I'm sorry. You cannot. It is impossible unless you have some sort of a photographic memory that you can use on a daily basis. It is not going to happen. You're going to forget what somebody is. You may have a tarantula you've given a very cute name, and it's one of say 50 that you own. You are going to forget what tarantula that is unless they have very distinctive markings. So what if they're a juvenile, or if they're a sling and you've got other slings? Trust me, you will forget what they are. So journal, journal, journal. Keep that in mind. My other tip would be, you know, how do we, other than the obvious, I'm trying to think of something different than the actual obvious. Feeding. I notice a lot of people go out of the way to try and film every little feeding. You don't have to do that. In fact, filming may stress your animal out. Using a flash, if somebody flashed in your eyes and then threw food at your face, you wouldn't be able to dodge it. You wouldn't like it. Kind of make you grumpy. So don't try not to do that with your tarantulas. If you're going to film your tarantulas, either film them without a flash, or what you could do is feed them first, then give them a flash. That's generally a good idea. Sorry, that's like literally somebody smacking you in the face with a big fat tuna after
Yeah.
they've blinded you with a blind light, and you can't blink, so you can't get rid of the blinding light. It just that has to suck.
Oh, well, just think if somebody
Oh,
flashes a high beam flashlight or takes a picture right after somebody takes a flash picture of you, you're just like, that you can't. Yeah.
we have green tarantula 212. Everybody, it says GTD. I think they got to go. Thank you for stopping by the show. I appreciate it. If you are a subscribed member, go ahead and leave a like. If you're not, please subscribe to our channel. And what I will do is I'll also give you a quick shout out and give you a subscription myself. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it, being on the show. And there they went. I just watched them go. So they were here the whole time. So we had a green tarantula 212 here with us this evening.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it doesn't tell me when people join. It does not tell me who you all are. So everybody that's listening, if you have a chance to say hi in the chat, please do so I can give you a proper hello, and I can give you a proper shout out to your channel if you have a channel already. I'd like to share some, get some. I'm a small timer here on YouTube, and everybody's struggling. So I give everybody, show some love. Get some love, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Oh, I was gonna say, for anybody new, I know this happens a lot. Unfortunately, anybody new in the hobby, when tarantulas are in the act of molting, leave them alone. Leave them completely alone. If you try to mess with them, you're going to do more harm than good. I've seen people. I've seen that happen. They're scared. Well, they've been in molt for a long time. I'm gonna try to flip them. No, leave them alone. Please.
Oh yeah, no, the molts can go, depending on the size. The molts can go anything from a half hour to an hour to a day or two.
Yeah.
So yeah, just leave them alone.
Please
That's
leave
no
them
joke.
alone if you're molting.
That's no joke. If they've had a bad, if they're malnourished, or if they were stressed, or if they were sick in some way, shape, or form, because you don't know about bacteria, you don't know about possible mites, you don't know about internal parasites, you don't know what's going on. So if they're sick, a molt can take much longer than a normal time, than a normal molt can take. So please, just as Spider Mom said, please leave them alone. Don't touch them. If it's been 3 days and they haven't moved and they're not moving, which you do is you don't pick them up. What you can do is take a brush or a little straw. I take the straws because straws don't have the metal part to the head of the brush, and you just touch a little egg. Trust me, they will move. If they're alive, they're going to move, and then you just leave them alone. If they're not moving, wait another day. So now you're up to 4 days. There's no molt that will last 4 days. At that point, then you can check your tarantula and see if they're good. The tarantula is not going to die and instantly start molding and then decaying like instantaneously, and you'll have this huge mess. No, it's nothing like that. It is an animal that has a carapace, and the exoskeleton holds for a very long time. But yeah, it's very rare for a tarantula to die within a molt unless they're either sick or old, or severely injured. Those are about the only 3 times you would have to worry. So if your tarantula is taking, you say you went to school or went to work in the morning and you come back in the evening and afternoon, evening area, and they're still molting, leave them alone. Next day they haven't moved, just leave them alone. And because guarantee they'll either come out of it or they're not. And you're going to know within 2 days. It's as simple as that. And there's nothing you can do about it. That is the sad part about owning an invertebrate. There's nothing much you can do. I have a vet that lives 2 hours from me, and I depend on them a lot. Like I said, I had a crisis here. They helped me take care of my tarantulas. So again, that's what you have to do. I mean, either find a vet, call them. Don't touch your tarantula, but call the vet. Don't go to a forum and ask, because everybody in a forum has a freaking opinion. And opinions will give you bad advice. So what you do is just go to a veterinarian clinic, or call up an entomologist office. Say, hey, I'm a hobbyist. There's no vet I can really talk to. I'm hoping I can talk to somebody who might know what they're doing. Do you have an arachnologist on that would take 5 minutes of their time? You can call a lot of science centers about that. You can call universities. You can actually, but talk to a specialist. Do not go to a forum. They will possibly give you bad advice. Now, there's a lot of times people got good advice. I'm going to point that out. But a lot of times with a forum, there's a lot of high opinions, and opinions when there's an ego involved, it's going to give you bad advice. I don't care who it is. It could be in the tarantula trade. For several years, you're going to start giving bad advice if your ego gets in the way, because somebody that you don't like said something that rubbed you the wrong way, and you might be adamantly against it. Case in point, I went to one of the very popular tarantula board, a tarantula forum. I'm not going to say which one it was, because then people realize what my real name is. But there was a gentleman there, because he is a YouTuber. No, it's not normal, one of the common YouTubers, but he did have a sizable following. And because I had said, look, stop assuming stuff. And because I said, hey, stop assuming stuff, he went on a ballistic rant and used words that I would normally never use in my podcast or in front of my mother. And he decided to say to dry all of my tarantulas out, because eating, tarantulas get their moisture through eating. And I'm like, how long have you kept your tarantulas? And you're giving me that advice? If I'd been somebody who did not have my experience and I had taken that advice, my collection would have been killed.
Yeah.
So no, you can take that advice and take it somewhere else, is pretty much what I said. And so I went to the moderators and said, look, I was going to pay for a subscription. I did pay for a subscription, and this is what you essentially are supporting. They immediately deleted his rant, and then he decided to harass me a bit, because he was like, giving me unhappy faces. And anytime I post anything, he had an opinion about it. And so he essentially chased me off, and I said, look, you guys lost out on a paying subscriber because of this, and I don't know how many other people he's going to do this to. So peace out. Good luck with that. And I think it was almost 6 months later, I got an email. Oh, we noticed you haven't been here. I explained the whole situation. If they're there, this is what happened. I'm not going to. Oh, well, we've changed staff since then, so we don't allow things like that to happen. I don't care. You guys, your guys, as soon as you guys favored somebody because of their following, and did not back up the ill advice that they, that you didn't handle the ill advice, you just didn't do anything. Then that's what that's what you're breeding. That's what you're getting. This is what you've
Yeah.
done. This is what you've essentially done to yourself. And this is why people have started leaving that particular forum. And it was just like, it was getting really bad. And it's like, yep. So that was my very bad taste. Forums leave a very bad taste in my mouth unless it comes to a business. If I want to know who to buy from, forums are really good about that. If I want advice on how to take care of my tarantulas, there is no way I'm going to a forum. I will go to a YouTuber. There is a ton of YouTubers with a lot of experience. You, for one, I mean, you've got 23, 25 years going on with experience. I have close to it, with all the years that I was in the hobby, getting out and coming back, I have about 10 years of experience. Then you have people like the Dark Den who make a living giving off experience and giving off tips. And then you have, what was it, the Tarantula Haven, who focuses mostly on some tarantula care, but mostly on sling care. So if you want to know about slings, go to Tarantula Haven. And then you have, what was the other one? Tarantula Collective, who does a really great job covering the tarantula themselves and the individual care for that particular tarantula. And then you have Mark's, then you have Tom Moran's.
Tom Moran is the man for husbandry. Yeah.
Exactly. For husbandry is really great. Then you have John. It's Jon. I forgot the last part of his name.
3800.
38. Oh, okay. Then you know who I am. Who I'm talking about.
Yes. Been following him for years.
So he's really good as well. And he's a school teacher, so he knows how to relay his information really well. So is Tom Moran.
Tom Moran is too. Yep.
So again,
and Tarantula Haven, I believe.
I already told them about Tarantula Haven.
That's that. Oh, that he was a teacher as well.
Oh no, I didn't know he was a teacher.
I believe he is. Don't swear. I'm not swearing on that, but I do believe he is. I believe he's in the education field for sure.
But my point is, they know what they're talking about. They've had many more years than I have, and they've made a living off of the care and husbandry and the advice given. So they will give good advice, and not a single one of them will talk bad about the other. So they're trying to keep it as professional as possible. So that is why I highly recommend any of them to go to for advice.
And let me say that you're no matter how long you've been keeping, you're never too good for advice, because you learn something new every day with these creatures.
Exactly.
You're never too good for advice.
Exactly. And then you have people like Scott's Inverts, who are in the UK, who also answer any and all questions. You have like Mark's Tarantulas. You have Tarantula Dan. Tarantula Dan's really busy. He doesn't really answer too many questions. But then you have Invertibin, who's also in the UK, answers all the questions he can. If he gets a question, he's answering it. So again, depending on where you are in the world, you can get really good advice from a YouTuber. And that's what I'm saying. You can talk to just about any YouTubers and get really good advice. None of them will put their egos before their opinions. Forums, for some strange reason, there's always an ego that's going to get in the way of their opinion. So I always stay away from forums unless it comes to buying. If you're going to buy a tarantula, again, the forums are really great for that, because they're all full of opinions and experiences. So you are going to get the very raw generalization of what you're going to. Crazy says, almost done with their cooking, and they're doing awesome job with this show. Says, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love all the comments I get. But unfortunately, we are coming up on 88 minutes, almost 90 minutes for an hour and a half show. As Crazy King knows, I usually go only for, and I usually generally an hour and a half podcast. And this is, of course, a live cast. So live cast is generally an hour and a half. Go check out my podcast, any of the other recorded podcasts, for some questions. If you got any questions and good music, I mix my music up. It is a radio. Or- so you do get your music in there as well. So if you want some good music and some good advice, go check that out. And some good shared stories, because we've had plenty of guests on the show before. And this is just one of them. So Spider Mom, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I really love it. You're gonna have to come back. You know that, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So everybody that's listening, thank you for coming. I am Cracks, your host. I'm signing out with Spider Mom 1978. Go check out her channel. Go say hi. Leave a like. Leave a subscription. And see you guys on Monday next week. Hey,